Welcome, and thank you for taking the time to learn how school budgets are assembled each year, the financial outlook for this upcoming school year 24-25, and how you can provide us with your feedback and input as we finalize the budget preparation. I'm Kathy Ludwig, the superintendent of Linn-Wilsonville School District, and I'm proud to work and serve in this community. The responsibility of our school district finance team is to develop a sound and balanced budget of revenue and expenditures that fulfills federal and state mandates and meets the vision and goals of the school district. This webinar will review who sets the overall budget and approves it, how funding is connected to the vision and goals of the district, annual revenue sources, annual expenses, and what we are seeing on the horizon for next year and how you can provide input. Who sets the overall funding for a district and who approves it? School district budgets in Oregon are developed using the following process. Every 2 years, the governor proposes a 2-year budget for funding K-12 schools in Oregon. The State Ways and Means Committee sets the final amount. Using the amount allocated by the state, our school district's finance team, in collaboration with school and district leaders, develops a budget proposal to bring before a district budget committee for review and approval. Once approved by the budget committee, it is then taken to the school board for adoption prior to June 30th. The public is invited to view the budget process and to provide input prior to and during all budget committee meetings and board meetings leading up to the final adoption. The school district budget committee is a statutory requirement. It is made up of the school board members and an equal number of voting members from that school district's community. These volunteer community members are appointed by the school board. For West Linn-Wilsonville, we have 5 school board members and 5 appointed community members that make up our 10-member budget committee. You can find their names listed on the district website. Let's now look at how the school finance team and district staff collaborate to align the district budget to the vision and goals of the school district. The West Linn-Wilsonville District Vision is a question that asks us to do our best every day in discerning and creating strong learning communities for our students that foster the greatest thinking and the most thoughtful people, not only for our community, but for the world. Our vision is then actualized into district goals, co-created by our district leaders and school board. These goals align to the vision, they guide our work, and importantly, help determine how we will invest our resources. District goals, school goals, teacher goals, and student goals are aligned and nested together so that staff and students can work together on priorities and strategies measured by assessed student learning outcomes. The district integrated plan describes these goals and actions and is available on our district website. Individual school work plans connect to the district plan while outlining their own specific goals and actions and are available by contacting each school principal. Our strategic investments help us meet the goals set by the district and each school. They also reflect annual feedback from our community about priorities for our schools and for student learning outcomes. These investments that you see listed here work together as a whole in providing access and opportunity for all students to experience school in a way that enhances their strengths and allows them to develop a growth mindset. Our task is to develop a budget that can sustain the quality of these interconnected investments over the long term. How will we know that our vision, goals, and investments are working? We will examine the evidence, both quantitative, measurable results, and qualitative feedback. Student learning outcomes vary. They may be small increments of reading level success, or larger ones like completed pieces of writing or a final research project or a semester grade for a course. Ultimately, we are working towards a rigorous and successful completion of a K-12 learning experience so that students are ready to move into their future career. Let's now move on to review how school districts receive their revenue each year. Every school district in Oregon is funded primarily by 3 sources: federal, state, and local funds. Federal funds provide specialized grants designated to specific programs like special education or support for students experiencing poverty. State funds, which is our largest revenue source, is collected through property, corporate, and sales taxes. Local funds are those approved by voters to fund specific projects. Local revenue include fees that a district might collect for extracurricular activities or preschool tuition or donations. In the last few years, special legislation has introduced significant additional sources of revenue in the form of non-competitive grants. You'll hear more about these grants later. You can see by this pie chart of a typical fiscal year that the majority of the district's general budget revenue sources come from the state school fund. The federal and state grants are not included in this pie chart as they are considered special revenue. They are, however, included in our budget, and we are accountable to their specific spending requirements. The state school fund gives money to each school district calculated by an average daily membership of students and their level of need over the course of the school year. First, the number of students who attend is calculated. Then the number is adjusted or weighted to provide additional sources for students who qualify for extra support to be successful in school. This weighted system is how equity is ensured across districts in Oregon, a system of funding based on students' needs and not just the number of students. This graph shows our enrollment over the last 20 years. You can see years here and there that have a slight dip or a plateau, but our overall growth trajectory was upwards until we hit the pandemic. Since the pandemic, enrollment has hovered around 9,100 students. Here's a glimpse of how our students are typically represented across the district. These percentages may fluctuate slightly during the year as students enroll or move. We track and report this demographic data to the state every year. As mentioned earlier, a most recent revenue source in Oregon are specific state grants. These are non-competitive grants, meaning that every school district receives this funding. The High School Success Grant helps fund strategies to increase graduation rates, decrease chronic absenteeism, and expand career and technical education course options. We use funds to hire additional staff for our 9th grade success teams, additional counselors, and teachers to expand course options and credit recovery options. The Student Investment Account Grant provides additional revenue to Oregon schools to address mental and behavioral health needs and increase academic achievement for historically underrepresented students. Based on feedback from our community, we prioritize these funds for additional counselors, social workers, nurses, teachers to reduce class size, special education staff, school psychologists, and expanding learning opportunities through our online academy. The Early Literacy Grant has only been awarded at this time for 2 years. Funds may be used towards literacy curriculum, professional development, high-dosage tutoring, and interventions for students not yet at grade level. Every school district may also receive funds locally from their own community through voter-approved taxes. One of these is a local option tax levy. This past November 2023, our community passed a renewal of the local option levy, allowing us to keep about 90 additional teachers and support staff in our schools. We're very grateful to our community for renewing this levy, as it helps maintain our effective class sizes and allows us to staff additional learning specialists, arts and robotics programs, and STEM programs across our schools. Because the funding from the local option is reliant on how well the economy and housing market is doing, you can see the years where a significant decrease in revenue from our local option occurred during the recession and for several years afterwards. Last year, we received approximately $12.7 million from the local option levy. We project about the same amount for this school year. A local community can also, through a vote by ballot, approve funding to a school district by passing a capital bond to assist with capital improvement projects. These bond funds are restricted to projects only approved on the ballot by the voters. The November 2019 capital bond identified a number of facility improvement projects, as well as the building of 2 new schools. Full descriptions and progress of the 7 projects identified in this bond can be found by going to the district website and clicking on the tab Capital Bond. Let's now review how school districts plan for expenses each year. This pie chart shows where the annual expenditures typically fall. As you can see, almost 87% of our budget, and most school districts' budgets, go to personnel costs. The second largest area is allocated to purchase services, such as utilities and transportation. Very little of the budget, comparably, goes to supplies and materials. That is why, when large reductions to public school district budgets are needed, communities will see reductions in staffing or school days in order to make up the shortfall. This year, as we put together our revenue and expenditures, we were pleased that we could maintain so many of our key investments. We were also able to continue several of our new programs, such as our district K-12 online academy, which serves about 250 students this year, and our Family Empowerment Center, which expanded to provide resources, services, and workshops requested by parents. We also hired key leadership staff to launch our new option high school, Riverside. Money was also allocated and spent on important curriculum updates and renewals. Maintaining effective and lower class sizes remains a consistency priority for our community. Here's a look at the numbers of our typical class size ranges. Again, we are grateful to the voter-approved local option levy and the state-funded SIA grant to help us maintain classes at the lower end of the range. To conclude, we will share the funding projections for next year and what it means for our district, and how you can provide input into the budget development process. The governor and the Ways and Means Committee set the budget for the 2023-2025 biennium at $10.2 billion. While this was an increase from the previous biennium, it has not been enough to cover the increases in wages and inflation across Oregon. In West Linn-Wilsonville, we used reserves to maintain lower class sizes and full programs for this 2023-24 school year. However, for the 24-25 school year, we plan to make modest reductions of approximately $4 million, which is about 2.6% of the general budget. This slide reviews again the reasons school districts in Oregon are struggling to maintain a current service level. While the challenges of increased costs and the less than needed state revenue, we'd like to know if the key investments and the SIA grant priorities that we have identified are ones that matter to you, our community. We'd like to know if you have any other thoughts or questions or preferences regarding the budget expenditures, the grants, or where we can make adjustments. Please take a few moments between now and April 26th to fill out a survey. We'd like your feedback as we finalize our budget for next year and bring forward a proposal to the Budget Committee on May 6th. The budget work session and all board meetings are open to the public. Thank you for listening and learning about the school district budget process, the revenue and expenditures our district faces, and how you can provide feedback. Again, we'd like to hear what you think, so please take the survey, and thank you for all you do to support our students, our staff, and our schools.